height sometimes. And for depth, it works really well. Any heaviness, because visually that's the whole thing. Everything's got to be balanced enough. This is not bad, but it's not perfect. You just have to bear with me because it's in front of people. Now, if I would have pre-done this and brought it, everything would be perfect. Well, perfect, but yeah.
Still looks perfect.
Aren't artists supposed to be creative first? Sure.
That's true. Okay.
So whatever comes out, comes out.
That's a good way to look at it. This is Australian rosemary, and I did cut this from England because
You may go by your yard.
it's, yeah, sure. I have to say, I've been there 8 years, and there's a lot of stuff in it. And it's maintained pretty well.
Who takes care of it?
We take care of it. We do have a guy that helps with our yards. I finally let go of doing that. And he'll trim a little bit, but I use a lot of it for the shop. And I'm not embarrassed to say so because I've grown, that's what we are, we're on 1/3 of an acre in Foxen Woods on the pie of a cul-de-sac. And I've grown bushes, the curly willow. Is this, I do have some, no, I don't have any bird of paradise. But a lot of other things that I planted that I just love to be able to get. At a moment's notice, I can make a $200 arrangement that is wonderful for somebody, looks like a $300 arrangement, and I made some money. I mean, that's what it's all about, especially with these kinds of things. So I grow, this foxtail fern is really great to have. And a lot of these things you can manhandle or woman handle. A lot more than you realize.
Oh, how cute. Turned it into a...
This is African boxwood, and you see it all over the place also. But it's just great stuff. And it fills so nicely.
Oh my goodness. Isn't that amazing?
And with most of this, a lot of it's just angles off of other angles. You know, and you have to have a focal point. If you have a focal point, it's like with anything. A room has a focal point. We have focal points. And then everything looks as if it's growing off of that. And once you have that down, and the height, the proportion, it really isn't that difficult. I mean, it's not like anybody can do it. Come on, but excuse me.
Oh my. Isn't that exquisite?
Are you check, do I have holes? Are you checking holes?
No, we don't like them.
Okay. Well, my wife's, oh my God, she's my worst critic. She will say, you need to add some greens there, Joe. Hey, almost 38 years, I guess I can take it. Imagine me married 38 years, and then you really haven't been born 38 years, have you? It's like, where did the time go? And this, I'm not really going to cover completely. And normally I would use the little igloo things. I don't know if I said that. They come in a little cage. But we were out of them, so what I did was make my own, which was fine. I put plastic roofing in. If somebody was going to be watering it, I wouldn't have done it. But, you know, it's okay. This is green pittosporum kit. That's all over the place too. that everybody cuts in boxes. But it's probably other bushes out here. Now, I don't know the exact name of this, but it's meant to be palms. It's pretty, they grow wide and
Papyrus,
wide.
isn't it?
Pardon?
Isn't it papyrus? A type of
No,
papyrus?
I don't think so.
Looks like bamboo.
It's like a, I don't know, but I've got to find that out because it's not very professional to be using it and not have to be.
Well, I have a pot full, so,
So, is it spurred?
no.
I forget, when I bought it, it was like something like umbrella something. But that's a, you know, a common term.
I have a whole pot full. It dries off and then it comes back.
Yeah.
Never thought you'd use it.
See, it's just amazing. It's just amazing what's all around us that can be something. And these could be used like in a line. That's what's so great about it all. Yes. Oh, I was going to use. So the great thing about this stuff, you can do this. And it's like, oh, a lot of times I'll wire these things on.
What does the tree look like that comes from?
Mine are tall and straight because they've been cut so much over the last 4 or 5 years. But they get huge, and they're real prolific, so a lot of people don't like to have them in their yards. You need to have them away because they're extremely fast growing. My next door neighbor, who was Harold Fletcher's sister, as a matter of fact, they had one, and we got cuttings from it. But he would cut it down either every year. I'm talking about this stuff like this. He would cut it down to here, and it would be the next year grown back. So they are definitely a prolific plant. But for that reason, you get so much of it all the time. And there's just no replacing it in the world of design for the curvature. And you know, you can just take a pot and put it all in there. And I think that's the nicest thing about it, is that they're an architectural feature that has different curls to it. And there is a few different varieties, and I believe they're native to Australia also. So that so what I wanted to point out here was taking kind of something from nothing and making a container out of it. I mean, we can't do this every day, and we don't do this every day. But sometimes, if you know that it's available and it can happen, that's great. This could be plexiglass. It could be, you know, could be PVC pipe that you paint a color. You know, and with Gorilla Glue, which I did use a little bit of Gorilla Glue with it, you can create all kinds of stuff. I could have added, you know, another piece onto it, you know, just a lower piece, because you don't want to get it too high because of imbalance. So,
That goes
I can do a little bit about the industry and that longevity in our industry, or having a retail business, is incredible. You all see that when we survive. Because there's so much knowledge that you don't have that you gain. You can read all you want, you can do anything, but if you don't pay attention to the styles, where are you going? In my industry, you have to pay attention to the changes in the styles. I have to appeal to the next generation, or I don't have a business. One of my competitors, I saw him one day a few weeks ago, and he said, "Oh, all my clientele's dying." And I said, "Well, you gotta get some new ones." You know, and you have to appeal to the next generation because 10 years goes by, and there's a whole other people. I have a grandchild now, so he's going to have a different outlook as anybody else does. And if I'm going to be in this business, I've got to appeal to them. Being old school is okay in certain things, but being new school is also good. You have to blend the new with the old and bring them all together all the time. And even in a place like Santa Maria, which some of us don't think, no offense intended, is the most cultural place in the world, you know, it has been, will be again, probably, whatever. You still need to look outside, because I've taken deliveries to San Luis Obispo. I've done custom things there. You know, I'll go to Santa Barbara. You know, it's just so much fun to get out there and make yourself available. And it's not always easy, because you put yourself on the line. I mean, you can make something, and even if somebody sees it in your shop, when it gets to the location, it looks different. That's why I'm really big on taking things myself and setting them up, just as a service, because it's so much easier to see and do that. Some people, I've called them, I know that they built a new house, and I'll say, do you mind if I bring something with you? Oh, this is a great example of something. When we first moved our shop to where it is behind Heritage Oaks Bank in Walgreens, we moved there. That's a whole story about moving. I always wanted to find the right place, finally did. Thousands of dollars later and a lot of effort, but anyway. Santa Maria's demographics are a little bit difficult, so for some retail. Anyway, it was where Trio Home Furnishings was. The girls wanted to downsize. We took over part of theirs. We didn't realize they were going out of business. Smarts in the business world. So our son purchased it. It was really purchased just for inventory. We ran it. Got a little bit too much after a year. You know, in order to run a furniture store, you really have to have a lot of money behind you to keep it, you know, going and all that. And it was a lot more work. We ended up closing it. But when we first took it over, there was a client in town who had just moved back. They'd lived here all their life. Lived away for about 6 or 8 years, came back, and she came in the Trio part of the store. Said she needed a few things. And I said, why don't you let me come over and look? So I looked, and I said, let me bring over, she needed quite a bit of stuff. I brought a couch. I said, let me bring all these things over to you. If you buy it, you do. If you don't, you don't. You know, and that's it. Because if it's in a store, what good does it do unless it's summer? I took it all over there, staged it all, and they virtually bought everything. So what it takes is putting yourself out there. And you got to constantly do it. You can't be afraid. It's like me writing this book. At first, when I thought about the title, I thought, oh, I'm going to offend people, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, Joe, screw it. This is life. This is real. People are going to want to buy it, you know, and if it's truly informative the way it is, it's going to be passed on, and that's what it's all about. So, I won't reiterate too much, but it's really important in the world to put ourselves out there and go for it. And sometimes you fail, and most of the time you make it. And that's all the advice I have for the day. So thank you very much for having me.